So that's it, folks. We've had the Stranger Things finale. Now, I took some time to think about it because it's such an epic show. It's been going on so long. We've been anticipating this for ages. Yes, we've had this in 3 parts, which honestly, in this instance, I think was actually a positive thing. But it's so tricky to end these things. Did it end a damp squib? Was it as bad as Game of Thrones season 8? I mean, that seems the hallmark of bad. Or did they pull it off? Let's delve into it. And I'm giving a spoiler alert right now. So we picked up exactly where we left off with the gang going into the upside down world in order to go into the abyss and, well, take down Vecna. I mean, what else are they going to do, right? But I will say with the new year coming in, I mean, Vecna lost some weight from season to season, so if he can do it, you can do it. An inspiration for us all. And look, some of the opening dialogue, I mean, I thought Will's coming out scene to Mike, it was a bit generic and a bit like, it's all right, does the job. It's like, I kind of wish this was over and some of the, when they're trying to reel you in, and it's like, oh, maybe we can't be friends, not friends, but best friends. And it's like, you got Will going, oh, we can't be friends. It's like, oh, God, I'm seriously, like, I have to go through this. But conversely, Elle's conversations with Mike and Hopper, I'm not going to say they were Shakespearean, on the phone Shakespeare, but I'm not going to say they were incredibly written. However, they did the job. They served the purpose. My potential thing with it was this made it really obvious, talking about all the hope of like a storybook ending meant that we're definitely not going to get a storybook ending. It almost made it more clear that wasn't going to be the case. And I wasn't sure it was necessary at this point because I don't think you can raise the stakes much further. I mean, at this point, we're season 5, for volume 3, if you ain't got the stakes high enough yet, it was it they're going, oh, yeah, it could work, couldn't? If it doesn't, you're not really going to do it in the third part of the finale. And then we get back to Will, because it was really odd to me that he didn't get any power-ups, any level-ups, because in part 1, volume 1, it was like, oh, Will, you're a wizard, Will. And it's like, wow, Will gets all this stuff, and then he just sort of stays the same and willing around and doing the Will stuff. And it's like, okay, so basically they just shot their gun really early with Will when it comes to season 5. Okay, it wasn't a crime against humanity. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was like, probably should have saved a little bit for later. And the character that I was a little bit disappointed didn't get much of a shine in this and was kind of sidelined was Max, because I think Max has been one of the best characters in the entire Stranger Things universe. I mean, I think she had one of the more interesting stories and had one of the best, personalities, whatever you can say, story arcs, character development. They kind of didn't know what to do with her. They sidelined her a little bit. Now, that is better, because it's better than if you've done, oh crap, we have to fit something in here quickly. It's definitely better than that because it doesn't mess with the character. But again, maybe the pacing thing with the final season, they could have done a bit more with her, stretched it out a bit so that at the finale we got a bit more with her, but it didn't ruin her character. So it's like, okay. But Max and Lucas did end up together, so that was a tick. And then we come to the all important: who's going to survive? Who's going to die? That's the main thing that people are thinking of in series like this. And look, that thing where Vecna convinced Hopper that he killed Elle, that was okay. I thought it was good, but here's the thing. Why didn't they use this in seasons before, or earlier, at least in this season? Because this felt like you could have doubled up on this in the sense of you could have used this to fake out earlier on, and it would have been effective because in the final season, it's kind of harder to convince people. But so say you do it early in the season, you trick people, right? Fool me once, shame on me. Then you get to here, and it's like, oh, no. We've seen this before. He's done this. But you find a way to make people go through the process of, nope, I've seen this before. It's not happening. Nope, it's not happening. It's probably not happening. No, I don't believe. Well, okay. No, it's not happening. It's okay. It could be. No. Yeah. Oh my God, have they done it? And you just get, and then they obviously get pulled back and go, it didn't happen. But you try and string the audience out so that it makes them doubt that you've done it. This would have been a great part for Vecna to have had earlier on. I find it weird, but it was well done within this season or this part of the finale. So I can't complain. I just think, again, that's something they could have used a lot more earlier and then still got almost as much out of it here in the finale. And talking about Elle, her death not being confirmed, but she might be dead, but she might not be dead. I mean, if they want to do more with Stranger Things, they want to err on the side that she's not dead. They very much left it open, which is sensible on the one hand. On the other hand, when I'm looking at it, I'm going, was it a bit of a cop-out? Well, I'd actually say no, now that I've thought about it. I'm kind of going back and forth with myself in my initial reaction, but at the end of the day, it maybe makes it more interesting because especially when you think of like Mike and Hopper and what they're going through, we as the audience know it's not certain. they're going through a wholly different thing, which we can see, and it makes it harder for them as characters. So I actually think it served more of a purpose, it being ambiguous for us as to what happened and watching the other characters go through this and thinking what they'll go through. Will they bring Elle back? Will that blah blah blah? Because if they've just definitively killed her, we know they couldn't do a spin-off with her, or they couldn't do more Stranger Things if they decided, or Stranger Things spin-off if they decided. But on the subject of deaths, I was actually shocked that nobody died, barring that it was left ambiguous with Elle, etc., etc. But let's assume for one moment that nobody in the cast died in this finale. The amount of people they had, it almost made me more certain that they've got enough people that it's not even going to be a big deal that people died. Maybe it'll dilute it a bit more, but some of that. And nobody died, pending whether Elle died, blah, 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 other stuff. But let's assume no one died. That's actually quite shocking. And actually, for such high stakes, I thought that kind of sacrificed that big thing or something, even if it wasn't like, it didn't have to be Mike, it didn't have to be Elle, it didn't have to be Will. But it would have had an impact if it had been, there's plenty of characters. I mean, Nancy, Jesus, her story arc from going, I'm not saying Nancy should have died, but her story arc from going from Nancying around at the start to being an all action 80s superhero, well, not superhero, but all action hero from the 80s, and just fully trained soldier. By the way, her actually getting over everything afterwards really quickly, 18 months later, being like, I'm doing everything I wanted to do. Everything's fine. But you dealt with PTSD well. I did get sidetracked, but no one died. And it's like, right, okay. I think they probably should have. And when it comes to the big final battle, look, I thought about this a lot, and I was like, you know what? This is the finale. Did it do the job or not? Well, I enjoyed it at the time. Weird that they just used conventional weapons with Vecna and the Mind Flayer, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed it. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much with it, because unless there was a storyline reason why it made no sense in terms of why would they do that, this is done, why would this happen, blah, 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 blah. And there wasn't that. It was just a bit weird they used conventional weapons. So I'm just going to go, I enjoyed it. We got satisfaction out of it. Satisfaction was had, so it was fine. Now, the memory in the cave. The fact that I found out afterwards, had to see the stage show to fully get that, no. You should not need to see a stage show to fully get it. I have nothing against the stage show. I'd like to go and see it at some point if possible, but I should not have to watch a stage show to get that bit fully. And I went back and forth with the scene where it was like Vecna and Will being like, oh, you might be the victim, Vecna, because the Mind Flayer's come back, and were you controlled by the Mind Flayer? Was the Mind Flayer making you do blah, 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 blah? Were you a prisoner of the Mind Flayer? Etc. And I thought first, oh no, I don't want Vecna to be like, I was the prisoner, I was the victim here. So it was like, oh no. But then when it was like, nope, will you work with him? No, just put it work with him. I was like, actually, you know what? That's fine. That was a twist within a twist. A twist that we would have saw coming, but because there was a twist within the twist, it was fine. But the character endings, this went very Lord of the Rings Return of the King, where it's like 18 months later, here they are, what's everyone's doing, and kind of suffering or doing well in life. So this showed again another thing of why they loved their characters so much. The creators of this show, why they maybe didn't want to kill them. It was fine. Honestly, the highlight of mine was Steve becoming the baseball coach and the teacher for sexual health. And it's like, yeah, you got everything you wanted. Cool. As I said about Nancy, she seemed to be fine. But obviously not everyone was. There was sad stuff with Mike. There's passing, the new generations being shown doing different things with D&D and all that sort of stuff. And there was some cheesy 80s like, at school, or like, I can only think of Bill and Ted with this. Yeah, well, history, yeah, well, and in conclusion, St. High School football rules! And it's like, yeah! And the dean's like, the dean or the head, how we are in America. I don't know, I'm not thinking of that. I was like, oh, damn you children, I'll come and get you, and I'm West Country now, oh. So fine, it did the job. It was cheesy, but Stranger Things can be cheesy. That's okay. So in conclusion, it's very difficult for something to show this big, epic. The expectations are absolutely monumentous. It's really hard for it to conclude it in like an amazing way. I'm not saying they won't do spin-off, but to conclude Stranger Things. I think they did a decent job with this. People saying, oh, I didn't want this, or I didn't want this, or I like this, blah, 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 which to me means you've kind of done it successfully, because I don't know if there was ever a way with Stranger Things for everyone to go masterpiece. And if there was, then it would have been very, very, very difficult. Not saying it wasn't possible, but it's always very difficult. So the fact they've done that means it's kind of job done with something like this, because it doesn't ruin watching the series all the way through again, knowing what happens. That's the key indicator. I'm not saying they got everything right in Stranger Things. Full stop. Not even just this finale. I'm not saying they got everything right, but they got the key points right, and we can look back with this fondly as a massively successful ride that we've all enjoyed. But what did you think? Did you enjoy the finale? Perhaps you thought, oh no, it's been Game of Thrones, it's just dreadful, the whole thing's ruined for me. Or maybe you thought, what a masterpiece, they couldn't have got it better. Well, please comment below, let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff for more content from this channel. Your support is appreciated, and until next time, I'll see you later.